Felix had always been a heavy sleeper, so when he awoke in the dead of night, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The air was thick with stillness, the kind that suffocates a room. He turned over in bed, hoping to fall back asleep, but the unease lingered. Then, faintly, he heard it, a whisper. Barely audible at first, it grew louder with each passing second. Felix! His heart skipped a beat. He blinked in the darkness, straining to make sense of sound. His room was silent again. Probably just the wind, he thought, trying to dismiss it. But then it came again, a soft voice curling through silence. "Felix, wake up!" Felix sat up, his mind racing. He wasn't sure whether to be terrified or simply confused. He didn't have any roommates, no one else in the house. The whisper seemed to come from everywhere, surrounding him like a presence. He glanced around the room, the shadows stretching unnaturally in the corners, and then his eyes froze on the closet door. It was slightly ajar, just enough to reveal a sliver of darkness beyond. His breath caught in his throat as the whispering continued, growing more insistent. "Felix, come closer." Felix's pulse quickened. This wasn't normal. He hadn't heard anything like this before. He forced himself to stand, his legs unsteady as he moved toward the closet, every step heavier than the last. His hand trembled as he reached for the handle, and with a deep breath, he pulled the door open. The closet was empty, just clothes hanging on hangers, a few boxes stacked in the corner. No source for the whispering. Felix let out a breath of relief, shaking his head as he turned to leave. But then, just as his hand reached the door for him to close the closet, the whispering came again, this time, right behind him. "Felix, I'm already here." His blood ran cold. Slowly, he turned around, but there was nothing there, just a dim light from the hallway leaking through the cracks. Then, his eyes were drawn to the mirror on the opposite wall. At first, Felix thought he saw something in the reflection, just a movement, a flicker. But when he looked closer, his own face stared back at him. The same tired eyes, the same dark hair, but something was off. His reflection was smiling. A twisted, sinister grin spread across the mirror's version of himself. Felix felt his breath catch, his body freezing as the reflection's eyes locked with his own. "I've been waiting for you, Felix," the reflection whispered, its voice not matching his, yet somehow sounding familiar. Felix's throat went dry. His reflection's grin widened, and in a sickening moment, it stepped forward. Felix stumbled back, but the reflection didn't move. It was moving, stepping toward him, as if it was crossing a line between the mirror and reality. With a gut-wrenching lurch, Felix turned and bolted from the room, his breath ragged in his chest. But no matter how fast he ran, he felt something, someone, right behind him. A voice, low and insistent, echoed in his mind. "I'm already here, Felix. You can't escape me." He looked over his shoulder and saw his reflection, still grinning, standing just a few feet behind him.